Oh my god, hi guys! Good morning. This is our first HD video on the channel, so that's kind of exciting. This is me without all the pixels of like my laptop because that's basically where I've been recording all these videos. Finally freed up the storage to be able to record this. I have kind of an old phone, which I mean, in my opinion, it's not old, but by the standards of the company that makes the phone, um, it gets old if it's not like the current generation of phones, I guess. So whatever. So today I thought I would do a little get ready with me, and I thought I would just talk about some like crazy dates that I've been on in my life. Okay guys, I literally basically ran out of storage because I was yapping while I do some skincare stuff. Oh, that's interesting. This thing brings 3 eye masks, 2 eye each pack has 2. Wow, that's so nice. It's so many. Cool. I'm not sponsored, but I got these at Target, so let's see how that goes. Sticky. Okay, I haven't had this kind of eye patches before, but let's see how that goes. Wow. I mean, I've tried the ones that are really wet. Like this is super dry, but the other side is like stuck to my face, so I don't know. I didn't make that. Anyway, date number 1 I want to talk about. Basically, I was in Berlin. I went there last year because I had a trip departing from Amsterdam. I booked some train tickets and I went for a weekend. And I don't know why I planned it this way. I went the weekend right before my trip when I could have gone at the beginning just to be safe, because at the time I didn't know it. And that would become a problem later on, that because Germany had these protests from the labor unions that work in transport, that kind of messed up their entire scheduling system for trains, and now there's just the repercussions of that, which is that it's kind of a mess. And instead of fixing it, the German government just decided to be like, well, if you want to fuck it up, then let it be fucked up, and now Germany has this reputation of having like a really bad train system, which is always late, delayed, or like canceled trips, all that. And I didn't know that because obviously, being in the illusion that I am, that many of us tend to be, that like, Europe is perfect and it's the best and that it works the best. I was like, I'm fine, I'll just like book this ticket. I'll leave on the Friday. I'll come back, Sunday night. It's gonna be fine. I'll have my weekend in Berlin and then I'll take, my trip. Whatever. I went to my trip. It was great, by the way. I had a really fun time. I clubbed the first day, blah, blah, blah. Second day, I make some friends in my hostel, and then we're talking. I'm like, oh, what are you guys' plans today, blah, blah. They wanted to go to a day party at Sisyphus. It's like this really nice club. And I was like, sure, let's do that. And I kind of love that concept as well, Berlin, of just kind of being able to go into the party in the morning and stay until the next day. Makes it pretty flexible, especially for my plans, because I was like, I just have 2.5 days. I want to party as much as possible. Have breakfast, go to the club, I stay the whole day, and then like go to sleep at night. It was perfect. So anyway, we ended up going to this place, and at this club I met this really cool guy. It was Alex. Shout out, Alex. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. We just kind of talked all night. We hit it off. At midnight, I had been at this place already for like 12 hours. I was exhausted. I had to leave the next day. I had my train in the afternoon. And then I'm leaving and I'm telling this guy like, okay, well, I'm gonna go. Like, it was nice meeting you, blah, blah. And he's like, wait, when do you leave? And I'm like, well, I leave tomorrow. Like, I'm going back to Amsterdam, and then I was going on this trip, so I was not really gonna be around the area, like around Europe. And he was like, well, I need to take you out on a date at least, like if that's your last day in the city. And I was like, okay, like, sure. I was not gonna say no. And like, he was really nice. The only thing is that he was like, well, is there anything you want to see like in the city? And I told him, really, the main thing I want to do while I'm here is see Hegel's grave. Now, don't even ask me why. Like, obviously, I studied philosophy, right? So I like seeing philosophers. And I went to Rotterdam as well, and I saw Spinoza's grave, which was like super underwhelming, by the way. Like, just behind this church, all abandoned, like it had shit on it. So that's obviously in a cemetery. And he was like, okay. And I told him where it was. And he was like, oh yeah, that's a very famous one, and there's a lot of famous people buried there. So he told me, okay, I'll make the plans. Don't worry, I'll tell you where to meet me, and we're gonna have a date tomorrow, and we're gonna go to the cemetery. And I was like, okay, awesome. And I also love that I think that's why it's also pretty iconic, because he just had a lot of initiative and he was like, you're in my city, so I'm gonna make all the planning, so don't worry about it. I'll just send you a text in the morning and we'll do our thing. And I was like, I like that. Thank you very much. So I went back to my hostel, went to sleep, said bye to my friends that I had met along the way. Then in the morning, just kind of walked around, went to one of those vintage markets that they do in Berlin. Super nice, got a couple of things. And then he texted me when he woke up, because he obviously kept clubbing after that. And he's like, okay, so meet me here. I go, I find him. And then it was already super nice to see him. Like, to me, it was kind of surreal because, like loves that you, or people that you meet in the club, it's kind of like a club thing. And there's also a huge possibility that the next day that you see each other, you'll kind of be like, ooh, I don't know, like. But it was actually nice. Like, I think the vibes were still there for sure once we met, like the day after. He had everything kind of prepared already, which just felt like thoughtful. It felt like he actually cared about this date, and it was just really sweet. And I love the spontaneity of it as well. We got to this place, which was kind of like this old, it used to be like a train station. I think there was like a metro station there. We walked from there to the cemetery. We weren't far, but as we were walking as well, he was just telling me about the history of Berlin, which was super nice. Like, he's not from there. He's actually from East Germany, but he had been living in Berlin for like 11 years at this point. We would just pass by buildings and he would tell me like, oh, here you can see the division between like East Berlin and West Berlin, and like you can see it in the difference in architecture. And then he would tell me like this was like a checkpoint where people needed to pass when they were going from one side to the other. So it just felt, it was just nice, like, to walk around. And he was also telling me about the history of these places. We were discussing actually how clubbing technically is a way of experiencing the culture, because obviously a lot of these clubs used to be factories, and once like the wall was destroyed, they were kind of taken over as spaces of freedom and liberation and creativity and all that. And then we got to the cemetery, and it was oddly just such a nice space. Like, you would think of cemeteries not as the ideal place for a date, right? There's dead people buried, but also it was really green and peaceful, and it was just so quiet in there, even though we were in the middle of the city. Once you go in, like, you only hear the birds, the leaves falling, and it was very warm. And people were just, you could see people like biking like on the outside on the street. And we just kept passing by the graves, and he kept seeing names of like, whoa, I really like that author, like that was their president, or like, just like little things like that. And then we just hung out there, and then after a while we just kind of sat on a bench. We were talking, but we really lost track of time, because by the time we checked, it was so late. I was like, my train was in like 30 minutes or less or something. I had to pick up my suitcases. We were in the cemetery. We were close to the train, but it was just so, like, time was really bad. Oh fuck, what am I gonna do? And then I'm like stressing, and he's like, okay, don't worry, I'll get a scooter and like I'll take you there. And I was like, what? And so he went and rented one of the scooters, and he took me on the scooter, like both of us riding together. I had never ridden on a scooter before. I was kind of scared, I'm not gonna lie, but this guy, he was just like, okay, there's no time for thinking, like we have to go. And he just like scoots me back to the train station. We get my things, then he grabs the scooter again, and then we cross this plaza where they had all the, it has a name, but they had all the government buildings and all that, and it's like a really beautiful, actually. It was just cool because it's like, okay, we're in a rush and we're going super fast to this plaza, but he's also telling me like, well, now you get this, you see this part and like the ministries and the government building and all that. And then we get to the place, we run, and then it turns out that my train is just super delayed like crazy, and that there's been crazy delays happening, and at least 2 trains before us that have to also go to the same place that haven't made it yet. So it's kind of chaotic. But then he also told me, I was kind of expecting this to happen, so don't worry, like, even though you're late, you're not gonna miss your train, but it's gonna be kind of a mess. And I was actually so thankful that he was there, because it's so difficult to navigate that train station. The signage is all weird. It's also everything in German. I don't speak German. The websites where you can actually see what's going on with the trains are just so specific, and I wouldn't have known what to do. So that was just kind of so chaotic, but he was really managing everything, talking to people, asking people. I was just kind of standing around, smiling like, hi. So anyway, I didn't do my makeup at all, but that was date number 1, pretty much. I was so thankful that he was there to help me not freak out. And then also shout out to everybody else. Like, after I got on the train, people were being super helpful because I was not really gonna make like that made I had to take a connection train. I don't remember where I got off originally, but there was just another town where I got off, and then I went to Amsterdam. That connection, I had lost it, and by the time I was gonna make it to that place, it was gonna be super late, and their last train to Amsterdam was like before midnight or something, and I was gonna make it by midnight to wherever I was. So that was messy, but eventually I figured it out. Everyone on the train, like all the German people that I encountered that were like, yeah, this happens all the time, they were super helpful. And actually, like, it was so great to see in that train how like all the German people were really helping all the other tourists out, because we were clearly super confused and didn't know what to do with our connections and whatever, and they were just like going to all those websites and refreshing and saying like, oh, you could take this route, or you could go here, or you could do this. It's just so great. So I appreciate them, because you guys know the struggle. Like, I wasn't expecting that, and now I know for the future not to get a train ticket, especially if it's in Germany, like just so close to another trip that I have to make, because the odds are that it will be delayed or that I would lose my trip. Thankfully this time it was fine. I did arrive the next day to my destination, but at least my other trip was in the afternoon, so I got to Amsterdam at like 8 in the morning, when originally I was gonna get there Sunday night. So I did lose 12 hours in this whole ordeal. Shout out to Alex, shout out to Berlin, the clubs, and the cemetery. It was epic. It was definitely epic. Even so much so that like after that, I sent my professor an email, because we're pretty close. It's like one of my mentors. But I literally sent her an email like, oh my god, I just had a date like by Hegel's grave, and it was so nice. And then she was like, she answered, she was like, that sounds so amazing. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Okay guys, I literally basically ran out of storage because I was yapping a lot. So that video, why are you doing that? Oh, is it low? My battery's low, fuck. Whatever. I was yapping a lot, so I literally finished doing my makeup. So I'll just like do my blush and tell you. Okay, at least we could say that was one of the best dates I've had. Yeah, I'll leave it up until there, and maybe I can do a part 2 another time, talking about other cool dates that I've had, because my microphones are just kind of like dying right now, and also I need to go eat. My makeup is basically done, and happy first HD video of the channel. I want to do something next talking about some of the paintings I've done this year. What? Thanks for sticking around. This is so chaotic, oh my god.